So, is breaking into tech in 2025 still worth the effort? I'm hoping to help you answer that for yourself in this short video. For a disclaimer, I've been a software engineer for going on 2 years. Before that, I was programming for about a year, so almost 3 years. And I've had a diverse career background. Before that, I was in the military, I was in car sales for several years. I was also in a few warehouse jobs in the evenings. And I also, before tech, was a real estate agent for 3 years. So I do have quite a bit of different experience career wise. So, what I want to do first is answer the question directly. I do believe breaking into tech is totally worth the effort if you know what you're getting yourself into. And this is not a clickbait video. I'm hoping to really help you guys with this decision before you go down the months that it's going to take you, maybe even years, to break into tech. So many people see these YouTube videos of people making 100, 200K and, working from Thailand, and they just have all these benefits, and they see the Google buildings, all these different things, and you don't need a degree now. And while some of these things might be true for some people, it's not that I want to say that that's not going to be true for you. What I want to say is that it's not all just rainbows all the time in tech. And I also want to say that, again, I'm a software engineer. There's different roles. There's UX, UI design, product managers, there's developers, there's salespeople, etc. And they all have different experiences, but I do want to, again, just give a general understanding from one, a software engineer perspective, but I think a lot of this will apply to other fields as well. Um, but I have never learned this much for a job in my life, besides maybe the military. And but that's a whole different experience, another topic. But what I will say is a lot of people like the idea of either going to college or going to a boot camp or going to a trade school, or getting the job and doing your 1, 2 months of training, and then knowing what you're going to be doing for the most part every day, whether that's sales calls and hitting your quotas, whether that's going out and knock on doors, whether that's being customer service, whether that's doing paperwork, whether that's washing cars, building houses, whatever. Things change variably for every job, but a lot of jobs you kind of can get trained a certain way, and you can rely on that's what your job is going to be like for the next year, 2 years, minus maybe 1 or 2 trainings a year. And tech as a developer, software engineer, we are constantly learning every day. And maybe when you're new, you have to learn more than others because you don't know what you don't know. But even the senior engineers, they're constantly learning. And I think for some people that can be a little overwhelming and maybe even annoying. Not everybody's career driven. Not everybody, even if you are career driven, necessarily wants to have to every day be reading something or watching something to stay up to date. But in tech, things move so fast. And I'm not even talking about just AI and the crypto and all these newer technology spaces. Just in general in tech, things are constantly changing. Even in the product that you might be building, things might be changing. The team that you might be on and what you're building there might be changing. So it's a constant cycle of just making sure you're up to speed and knowing the next biggest thing, as well as being very proficient in maybe even some older things that your company is using. So I think that's one thing people underestimate is they focus so much on how much they have to learn just so they can get to a point to get a job, but they don't realize that it doesn't stop there. Once you get your job, it's just like relearning all over again a bunch of new things. You might go through your boot camp and learn React, and then you go somewhere and then have to learn Angular. And that was my experience. I didn't do a boot camp, but I went through all this time with React. In my first role, I was thinking all this front end stuff and a little back end. In my first role, I was completely back end. So all the React stuff it wasn't pointless. It just was like a whole different thing. Um, and I focused more on like HTML, CSS, and like uh, vanilla JavaScript, and not so much the Node.js stuff and like the database stuff and security stuff. So I had to go through a learning process of getting up to speed on that. And then my next role, I went to a full stack role where I did a lot of back end and front end, but it was mostly front end. I would say 60, 70% front end. And it was an Angular. So I didn't know Angular then. So I had to learn for like 2, 3 weeks. So that was an experience. And I think a lot of people aren't prepared for that. The next thing I would say is it's it's competitive, man. I don't know what it was like before I got in, but when I was trying to break in, it seemed like a lot of people were doing it, and it was tough to get my first job. And each job is getting, I wouldn't say like it's easy. It was just got this time was definitely easier enough. Well, the last time I actually got, I met somebody, so I had to go in person at network. And even though I had to interview a bunch of places, I spent 2 months learning the stuff that he told me I need to learn, and I had to prove to them that I did know the stuff. So it was just a different effort. Most people don't do that. Most people don't study or build stuff for no reason and read all these books just to get a job interview at whatever company. So tech is definitely different in that case. But I feel like a lot of people aren't prepared for the journey to break into tech now because I feel like probably before my time, it was probably not as flooded. Not a lot of people knew the opportunity there. And then during my time, I think it was hard because I was trying to break in. Either it was during COVID or like just after I was going down. Everybody wanted a remote job and make good money, so it was kind of hard. Just people are home and they had time to learn. So I think even now with AI tools, it's not that they'll replace you like everybody's trying to scare you. It's just like now you have to up your game. You can't just build like a basic website and think you're gonna get a job. Like maybe you could, I don't know, but it's gonna be a lot harder because there's thousands of other people who can do that too. You have to really show your skill set and your understanding for different languages, different technologies. And at the day, I think people really want to see that you can you know your stuff. Like, it's not just knowing being a React expert, is you're adaptable. If I tell you to use Angular or Svelte, or if you know JavaScript because you learn Python, why would you do this versus this way? Do you know how to deploy things and create pipelines? Do you know how to work in a team? Like, do you know how to containerize your applications? Like, there's all these different things more than just like I know React. And I think a lot of people are just going through boot camps or online courses and thinking it's that simple and they'll make 150 grand. And it's like, it might be hard for you. I think it was hard for me. Even the next generation of coders, I think it'd be even harder. So just be prepared for the journey to break in. Don't focus so much on the 3 month timeline or 6 month timeline. Focus on just learning your stuff and putting yourself out there. Um, as far as compensation and benefits, I do think that is still what it is for tech. I think when you get in, you always want more money, you always job hopping. But for most people outside of tech, it looks like good money. And I'll be honest, it is. I think your first job might not be that money, but I think it's one of the very few fields where it's like, yeah, you can make your dream salary or whatever eventually. A lot of industries they pay hourly or commission. So it's nice to be, while you might get a contract job in tech, it's very common to just get like a salary with good benefits, and a healthy work life balance where you either A get off at a good time or they don't really hold you to like hitting a certain time as long as you're getting your task done. Um so I think that is true. That being in tech, I think tech has some of the best benefits, but it's also dangerous because I think a lot of people get used to it and then they get laid off because the company was blowing money or wasn't really successful. So I think just be careful who you work for and make sure you save and make sure you're smart with your money and career and you're always looking because you never know. You could be on the chopping block because you get laid off. You get used to that $150,000. So, um, and that's one thing someone taught me was like you should be looking for a job every 6 months. I don't know if I necessarily do every 6 months, but I definitely think don't get too comfortable because things change a lot. And also there's good opportunities out there too, and there's nothing wrong with you finding something else too. But yeah, just be smart with the benefits that you get because the way everything's moving right now, there's a lot of uncertainty. So um as far as career growth, I think it's one of the best fields if you have either a company with a good structure to it that is kind of like you do this and this and you go up the ladder, or you have good managers that have the best out for you and they want to see you succeed and they'll push you so that you can get those promotions, those raises, whatever. So I think, but if you're looking to have a good career, you can move pretty fast in a couple years into tech. So a lot of people, job hop. Technically, I've had 3 jobs. This is my third job, so I guess you could say I'm one of those people. But also some people stay the same role, and next after a couple years, they're a mid or senior engineer before they knew it. So I think tech definitely creates good career opportunities and great financial beneficial benefits related um benefits for people. That doesn't make sense, but so those two things I think are very still definitely of how are advertised. But I will say not every company has the same perks as everybody. Um, as far as what I think people should do to prepare and to get into tech is really figure out if they want to do this because I think it's easier to if you like it. I think a few months into it, I was kind of ignorant and I grew to like it, and that's what kept me going through the challenges of. There's always something to learn. There's always a new book. Every time I get comfortable with something else, stressful days, and I'm like, but I really like the code, and the benefits and stuff are good too as well, and I have never had as much time with my family, so it's all worth it. But if you're just doing it just for your money, I think you'll burn out because it's just like it's very stressful. Like every day is a roller coaster. One day I'm like want to throw my monitor and my laptop, and then next hour later I'm thinking I'm the best programmer ever because I finally solved something. So it's definitely a roller coaster emotion, and it's definitely a lot of stress sometimes, at least in the early days. Even though it seems like you can just work on your own time, you can do all this stuff. It's kind of stressful, and imposter syndrome is crazy. For new developers, especially me, I still deal with it, and I'm on my third role. Um, so I just think you guys need to really, sit there and think about is this what you want to do? Do you like it? Are you interested in it? Do you see this as a career? And then if that's what you decide, then put your heart into it and focus on learning and getting up to speed more than you're worried about making a crap load of money and going overseas and all this stuff. So I hope this video helped. I know it's just kind of ramble, wasn't scripted at all, but I feel like a lot of people need to hear this in the early part of the year before you waste months and months of your time on something that may or may not be good for you. So if after this video you still think that it's a good career field for you, I think guys go ahead. There's so many online resources, get started. And whether that's a college degree, a boot camp, books, self-taught, whatever, doesn't really matter. Just I do think it's very attainable. And again, I came from a sales background, so I know other people can do the same thing if you want to break into tech. So I hope this video helped you guys out. I hope it's motivational. I hope it gives you some insight into what it's like. And good luck out there, guys, and have a good 2025.